Hi, my name is David Wood, and I grew up in Oregon. I went to the Oregon School for the Deaf, and that was in 1947 to 1958. That was about 30 years ago. Once I graduated from there, I went to Gallaudet College, and now it's called Gallaudet University. I went there for 5 years, and I received my bachelor's in occupation, my bachelor's degree. And then I also stayed for one more year to pursue a master's in education teaching for the deaf. And then I volunteered as a teacher at a school for the deaf. And they actually hired me, and it was in Maine. And it was in Platt. It was a Platt Institute. And I went to Oregon, and then I was going to Platt. It was funny. So I went to Maine, and I drove there by car. And when I arrived, I was driving. I was looking around for the school, and I was not sure where the school was. So fortunately, I was able to find some people that were walking, and I asked if they knew where the school for the deaf was. And they were like, yep, it's right over there down the road. Keep going, and then you'll find it. All right, so I just kept driving, looking, keeping an eye out for the school. And I saw it. It was on the left, but I was shocked on what I was seeing. That school institute is actually an island, but it's been there for about 150 years. And at that time, it was an island, but there was no water. It was just all mud. And I saw some people digging up for some I saw some people digging because I saw some hand movements like claws. So, and it was a small school. There were about 120 students. There was a small faculty as well. There was about 15 teachers. So I worked there for about 12 years. I kept working there for a long time as a teacher. I was involved in many different teaching jobs there. And then I decided I shouldn't work there anymore. My last year, I was actually the supervisor for the rec department. And suddenly, a new job opening came my way. It was a new opportunity in Oregon. And for it to become a supervisor in a high school department, I thought it was very interesting, so I decided why not. So I went back to Oregon to visit. I visited there during the summer. I visited the high school. I also had an interview, but I wanted to go back home. That was my plan. So I discussed it with Derek Lane and my old school that I worked with, president, and another man who unfortunately recently died. And we were all talking, and someone asked me, suppose if I were to take that job at that school, what would my future plans be? And I was just teasing him, and I told him, well, my future plan were to kick you out of your position, and I would take your job. Because you never know. You never know if I would be able to take your job tomorrow. You never know. But for his position, there was no job opening at that time. So I was waiting for a job, and I went back to home in Maine. And I continued working there in 1976. And about 4 years ago, I received a phone call. And that there was a job opening, and I was very interested in that. And it was back in Oregon where I grew up. So I took that job in the middle of the year. It was in January in 1976. And that was a hard time for me to just walk in on there and teach then. It was middle of the school year. And so I had to do some training, employee training. And once I felt comfortable, I decided to take the job. And I had I was working in the high school department for about 4 years. And I've been so fortunate enough to see 4 graduating class go on to college. And I've also been able to witness the 270 of my students graduate. It's a big accomplishment. for people that leave, and that I was able to do that for them. Most of my students come back to visit me. What makes my job so interesting is that when they first come in as a freshman and they're very cocky and think they know it all, and then once it's their senior year, they mature and go out in the real world and find a job. That's their life, and that what makes my job interesting. I really enjoy seeing that part the most. Thank you.